If you remember, I was unhappy how this flange turned with the shaft instead of keeping together with the casting and providing a bearing between the flange and the shaft and not between the flange and the casting. I went back into my notes from this assembly and I found that this little pressure washer was in between this flange and the circlip. However, I tried reinstalling it and it didn't do anything to improve the situation, so now I wiped the grease from here and added oil instead, and I'm also gonna add oil on top of this washer, and I'm gonna wipe the grease off the circlip, and hopefully that will resolve that problem. If not, I'm just gonna leave it like that because I don't have any other ideas what to do. Push it in from the front because it's tight now. It really doesn't want to seep in. Seated. Let's see if we can turn freely. A little bit better, but it's still turning both parts, so that didn't do anything. Okay, onwards. Next thing we need to do is we need to retain this shaft by putting in this grub screw, the pointy one, M6. And I just see it's dirty, and it shouldn't be because it was cleaned. But okay, I'm gonna put this in here. And I don't know how much I should tighten this. I'm guessing not much. Oh no, actually I can tighten this all the way because the shaft is stationary. It doesn't move. The gear slides on it. The shaft is staying put, so that's fine. Okay, we got those two covered. And now we're at the part where we can go and reassemble the change levers for the feed. This is the lever for the feed, and this is the lever for the half nuts. And these have to go in simultaneously, otherwise they just won't fit. The trick is that you need to put in, first you need to grease them anyway. And I'm just gonna do that real quick. Oh, I forgot about my sponge. There, this will make a short work of these grooves. I also want to grease all parts of this shaft because I noticed it started to rust, and that's not okay. into the bottom. Good. Okay, this is greased. So the trick is to get the half nut shaft from the behind and make sure that it's positioned with this hollow pointing upwards. Then you can go and take this solder shaft, which is meant for the feed shaft selection. You can also grease it. This is the little axle that will hold the brass pillow that shifts the gear. You don't want to grease this part from behind because this is sticking out of the machine and it's something you normally touch, so you don't want it to be all greasy. Okay, I think I'm all set here. And this part can then go in with its hollow pointing downwards. So it goes in like this, and that's the only way you can actually put these two together. Now that you've done that, you need to take your brass pillow and install it as well. I'm adding grease here mostly to keep it in position and not fall out. Now, when I just realized this would be a lot easier to do the other way around. But it's okay like this as well. Yeah, here, I got it. So this is how the feed selector works. You can either push it this way and it feeds the carriage, this here gear, or you can move it here and this side is gonna feed the gear in the cross slide. Okay. So next thing you want to do, you want to retain these two so they don't fall out. And in order to do that, we're first gonna put in this here set screw, and it goes in from here. There are 4 holes around that bearing surface, and you want to put this in to the bottom left one. Surprisingly enough, I'm gonna grease it before I put it in. Probably didn't see that one coming. And it doesn't want to go in because I painted this and I didn't mask it off, and now there's paint inside. Again, clean off the paint chips, get them out of this hole as far as possible, and so it should go much easier now. This part does move, but it's not rotating under power, so it really shouldn't be a big problem. But if I got a little bit of paint inside there. I just realized you probably don't see anything from this angle, so I'm gonna turn it. And this screw is pretty mangled, fortunately. And I need a thinner screwdriver. 3-bit, I guess. I don't want to destroy it completely. So this one will be fine. With flathead screws, it's really important you see them in all the way into the screw. Otherwise, they're prone to cam out, and then they will destroy your part when they do that. Okay, let's see. I just lost one. Okay, we're gonna put it back in later. Just gonna do that again otherwise. Okay, so this is too little. Depending on how much you screw this in, let me demonstrate this. This gear is now, this screw is now in all the way, and as you can see I can only move my half nut lever this much, and that's obviously not gonna be enough. But if you take the screw out a little bit, okay, out by a lot maybe. Okay. Okay, so if you take a look in here, you can see that this screw is terminating in this groove in the shaft that controls the half nuts. And the further you put it in, the more you will limit this action of the half nut lever. And that controls how much your half nuts will close. If I put this screw in further, then I can not go full, I can only go, let's say, up to here. And because it is already in the groove, it's also positioning this this lever in this direction, so it's not gonna fall out now. Okay, now that we're done with that, we can move on to these plates. And these plates are holding in the this lever for the feed shaft that control will you feed longitudinally or will it fit the apron or the cross slide? So I pretty much believe these are the same. They don't look any different. And I'm just gonna reassemble them. This one looks a bit worn, so it was probably the one that the pin was riding on, so I'm gonna put that in that position. And the pin that I just talked about is riding on the back one, so this will be just torn up one. This used one will be in the back, and this one will go in the front. And I just realized I needed to put these in first. I have to go back in and receive the pillow. In hindsight, definitely put this part together before you even start putting together this big gear. It's gonna be a lot easier to put the pillow on and then the gear on than the way I just did it. So first assemble these two and then you put in this gear. Okay, so these 3 holes get filled with small screws, that are called bolts, and I think for these 3 are it. I'm just gonna oil them lightly to prevent rusting. And then wipe the excess off in this tissue. And they also allow for a bit of tuning, in the sense that it seems I didn't clean these holes after I painted them, so the screws don't want to come in. So it seems that I'm gonna have to take this off once again, clean the paint, and repeat the process. Okay. It's gonna be easier if I just take this off completely. There. You could also run a tab for these, but running the tab will almost certainly produce some metal shavings, and I really want to avoid that since everything is already greased up, and I really don't want to deal with that. I'm just gonna blow this out from the inside out. I just blew this out with compressed air from the inside out, so any paint that I just took off doesn't end up in the mechanism. Let's try this again. Seems I'm gonna have to use the tap. Shit. Yeah. I'm gonna have to use the tap. This is just an M5 tap from the big box store, so it's not bottoming, or it's you would call it, I guess, plug tap, something like that. I'm gonna turn this the other way around so any debris falls on the table and not inside the mechanism. And I'm just gonna feed this in by hand because I really don't want to cross-thread it. That would be very bad news. Okay, this one is done. Okay, this one is done as well. Okay, this is going easier than I expected so far, and I'm just gonna do this one as well because it's probably got the same problem. And I'm gonna run this one full because it was painted from both sides. Okay. And let's blow this out again. Okay, so these are cleaned up. Now they should accept screws, no problem. I'm going through these paper towels like crazy. Okay, I'm in the shot. Yes, I'm in the shot. So now I can finally put this back in. Can take this guy, and this is this one will be the one in the back. This is going to be the one in the front. They are both greased up. That's fine. Okay, just put this in. And remember, you have to rotate this. You have to rotate the half nut lever so that the hollow is towards the top. And we also need to put in this pillow. While we're at it, okay, there you go, in. Okay, so should now be able to run in this screw. Yeah, much better. And the ones on this side as well. Okay, now it's not going anywhere in a hurry. if you look at this, you can see these holes are oversized by quite a bit, and can actually move this around a bit. I'm not quite sure why they made it like this. It's probably to set something up. I'm gonna have to look in the manual and see. Or maybe it becomes evident later on why these are able to be positioned like that. Anyway, not important now. I'm just gonna run them in hand tight. And my drivers are not here, so I'm gonna have to use a wrench. Actually, I'm not gonna tighten them at all. Well, maybe a little bit. So they don't fall out. Yeah, a bit more than that. Okay. They should be number 8. Okay, so I'm guessing they should be tight on, and well, not very tight on, but tight on this handle and more or less vertical. Yeah. I'm just going to tighten them like this, and I'm going to see if that needs adjustment later on. These are not very tight. Okay, and this one we're missing a nut. Because we are reusing the screw that locates the half nut's shaft, so it's protruding, and we just need to put a nut on it here, and that will lock it in place also. I don't know why this is not a black one. Maybe someone lost the original. All the fasteners that I've seen are the black type, and this screw is mangled, so when I try to tighten the nut, it actually turns the screw further down in the hole. I'm gonna have to think something about it. I have to do something about it. Maybe take off this set screw and grind the top a bit so it fits again. I don't know. Maybe this will just do it. Yeah, maybe.